Welcome to Group 3's presentation of characters and character analysis in The Great Gatsby. We will begin our analysis of Nick Carraway. Carraway acts as the narrator and a neutral character in this novel. He represents a part of S. Scott Fitzgerald, the author of this novel, by being a quiet, contemplative Midwesterner who finds himself adrift in the East Coast. Carraway grew up in the state of Minnesota, eventually moving to the West Egg portion of Long Island. A young man of his 30s, Nick Carraway learns the bond business and moves in next door to Jay Gatsby. Carraway is also the cousin of another character, Daisy Buchanan. These connections with Daisy and Gatsby make him the perfect characters to observe their relationship. Gatsby is also a great listener, which means that other characters can trust him in telling them their secrets and other stories about their lives. Carraway plays a mainly secondary role throughout the novel, choosing to comment and describe events rather than take action. Carraway becomes skeptical of life on the East Coast, creating an internal conflict which is not resolved until the end of the book. On one hand, he enjoys the lively and party style of New York City, but on the other hand, he finds this activity damaging and degrading. This conflict is represented by his interest in another character, Jordan Baker. On one hand, he enjoys her liveliness and vivacity, but he also finds her dishonest and inconsiderate to other humans. Nick states that there is a quality of distortion to life in New York City, and this lifestyle makes him lose his equilibrium, especially early in the novel when he gets drunk at Gatsby's party in Chapter 2. And after witnessing the unraveling of Gatsby's big American dream and presiding over the appalling spectacle of Gatsby's funeral, Nick realizes that the fast life of revelry on the East Coast is a cover for the terrifying moral emptiness that the Valley of Ashes symbolizes. Having gained the maturity and insight that this demonstrates, he returns to Minnesota in search of a quieter life structured more by traditional moral values. The next character we will analyze is the main character and title character of the novel, Jay Gatsby. Jay Gatsby shares a role of protagonist with Nick Carraway. Gatsby grew up in North Dakota in poverty, but achieved goals of wealth through organized crime. Though Gatsby has always wanted to be rich, his main motivation for acquiring his fortune was his love for Daisy Buchanan. While Gatsby was studying at Oxford after the war in an attempt to gain an education, Daisy went ahead and married Tom Buchanan in 1919. Gatsby dedicated himself to winning Daisy back, and his acquisition of millions of dollars, his purchase of a gaudy mansion on West Egg, and his lavish weekly parties are all merely means to that end. Gatsby has literally created his own character, even changing his name from James Gatz to Jay Gatsby to represent a reinvention of himself. As his relentless quest for Daisy demonstrates, Gatsby has an extraordinary ability to transform his hopes and dreams into reality. As the novel progresses, and Fitzgerald deconstructs Gatsby's self-presentation, Gatsby reveals himself to be an innocent, hopeful young man who stakes everything on his dreams, not realizing that his dreams are unworthy of him. Gatsby invests Daisy with an idealistic perfection that she cannot possibly attain in reality, and pursues her with a passionate zeal that blinds him to her limitations. His dream of her disintegrates, revealing the corruption that wealth causes and the unworthiness of the goal, much in the way that Fitzgerald sees the American dream crumbling in the 1920s, as America's powerful optimism, vitality, and individualism become subordinated to the immoral pursuit of wealth. Gatsby is contrasted most consistently with Nick. Critics point out that the former, passionate and active, and the latter, sober and reflective, seem to represent two sides of Fitzgerald's personality. Additionally, whereas Tom Buchanan is a cold-hearted, aristocratic bully, Gatsby is a loyal and good-hearted man. Though his lifestyle and attitude differ greatly from those of George Wilson, Gatsby and Wilson share the fact that they both lose their love interests to Tom Buchanan. This brings us to our next character to analyze. Tom Buchanan is Daisy's immensely wealthy husband, an ex-football star from the same college as Nick Carraway, Yale University. Tom is described as one of those men who reach such an acute limited excellence at 21 that everything afterwards savors of anticlimax. Hailing from a socially solid old family, Tom is an arrogant, hypocritical bully. Now 30, Tom is physically powerful with a, quote, cruel body and arrogant eyes. His social attitudes are laced with racism and sexism, and he never even considers trying to live up to the moral standard that he demands from those around him. Tom has a string of affairs despite being married to Daisy Buchanan, and is involved with Myrtle Wilson throughout Nick's summer-long friendship with the Buchanans. He has no moral qualms about his own extramarital affair with Myrtle, but when he begins to suspect Daisy and Gatsby of having an affair, he becomes outraged and forces a confrontation. An aggressive, short-tempered man, Tom wreaks continual havoc by abusing, physically or emotionally, Daisy, Myrtle, George Wilson, and Gatsby throughout the novel. Our final character analysis is on Daisy Buchanan. Partially based on Fitzgerald's wife, Zelda, Daisy is a beautiful young woman from Louisville, Kentucky. She is Nick's cousin and the object of Gatsby's love. As a young debutante in Louisville, Daisy was extremely popular among the military officers stationed near her home, including Jay Gatsby. Gatsby lied about his background to Daisy, claiming to be from a wealthy family in order to convince her that he was worthy of her. Eventually, Gatsby won Daisy's heart, and they made love before Gatsby left to fight in the war. Daisy promised to wait for Gatsby, but she married Tom Buchanan in 1919. A young man from a solid aristocratic family, Tom Buchanan was undeniable. He could promise her a wealthy lifestyle who had the support of her parents. After 1919, Gatsby dedicated himself to winning Daisy back, making her the single goal of all his dreams and the main motivation behind his acquisition of immense wealth throughout criminal activity. To Gatsby, Daisy represents the paragon of perfection. She has the aura of charm, wealth, sophistication, grace, and aristocracy that he longed for as a child in North Dakota, and that first attracted him to her. In reality, however, Daisy falls far short of Gatsby's ideals. She's beautiful and charming, but also fickle, shallow, bored, and sardonic. Nick characterizes her as a careless person who smashes things up and then treats behind her money. Daisy proves her real nature when she chooses Tom over Gatsby in Chapter 7. That allows Gatsby to take the blame for killing Myrtle Wilson, even though she herself was driving the car. Finally, rather than attend Gatsby's funeral, Daisy and Tom move away, leaving no forwarding address. Like Zelda Fitzgerald, Daisy is in love with money, ease, and material luxury. She's capable of affection, because she seems genuinely fond of Nick, and occasionally seems to love Gatsby sincerely, but not of sustained loyalty of care. She's indifferent even to her own infant daughter, never discussing her and treating her as an afterthought when she's introduced in Chapter 7. In Fitzgerald's conception of America in the 1920s, Daisy represents the amoral values of the aristocracy of East Egg. This concludes our presentation on characters and character development. We hope you didn't too bored by the presentation, and if you took a nap, hopefully some of it absorbed into your brain. But now we hope you focus on class from here on out and answer the study questions provided. Thank you.